All right, let's get this started. Let's get it started. What's up, y'all? What's up?
Hello.
All right, so
What?
nothing. Let's start because
Okay.
we got a hard out because she has to go pick up her son.
Yes, I do.
She has to go pick up her son, y'all. And she told me we only got a little bit of time, so yeah.
Okay. Anyway.
So you move mountains.
Okay. My goodness, it's not a
You cause walls to
not
fall
a singing podcast for
with
sure.
your power.
Okay. Anyway, what are we talking about today?
Perform miracle. Sing with me.
No.
There is no. Come on, sing.
No, I want to go pick
That's
you up.
him. I'm not gonna stop
And
until
we're
you
standing
sing.
here
No,
only because
and we're
you made
standing here only because you made
a
you. Okay, made a way.
Don't know why, but you did it.
You made a way.
That's it. That's all I'm doing.
You made
my
a
gosh.
way. And we're standing here only because you made a way. Doom, doom,
JUAN.
doom, 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 doom. Because you move mountains.
Come on.
This is the whole podcast.
No, it's weird.
He made a way. We would not
Okay.
be here in 10 years if he did not make a way.
That
Yes
is
or no?
very true.
Yes or no?
But I didn't come on
He
here.
moved mountains.
Dude,
He caused walls to. She don't want to cry. That's why.
that's not true. I'm definitely
With
not in the
your
mood to cry.
Perform.
You're trying not to cry.
miracles.
Come
There
on.
is nothing.
Gay
Sing
time
with
is
me.
That, no.
Okay.
I'm not singing.
That's it. Sing with me.
That's impossible.
Impossible.
You get on my nerves.
And we're standing here only because. No, say it. Make a joyful noise
That
unto the
is a
Lord.
joyful noise.
And we're standing here only because you made a way.
Come on.
You
Oh my.
made. Don't know why, but you did it. Made a
So you
way.
made me get dressed.
Let's talk about how he made a way, man.
We're sitting.
How has he made a way? How have you seen him make a way over these last 10 years? When you think about, I'm curious. So anyway, we'll talk. We'll get into it. Let's do an intro. She's blinking hard. She's about to cry, y'all.
No, I'm not.
She is.
I'm really
Welcome to the
not.
Marriage for Adults podcast. I'm Juan,
I am BREE.
and together we are affectionately known as Kite and Rock. Juan and BREE, we are here. I'm here today. I got a shirt on with no collar, and I look like mustard. Mustard. Mhm.
Actually, you kind of look like Bumblebee.
Yeah, this is didn't think this one through, but here we are. So sometimes you got to actually look at the camera too.
Okay, I did.
Yeah, like let them see you.
When I'm just you're talking, so I'm looking at you. So
Yeah,
while
but
you
this
talk,
is
I'm
visual
supposed
and
to
audio.
just-
Visual.
But if I'm not talking and I'm listening to you,
I'm just
I need
saying.
to look at the camera.
I just want you to be mindful that people will listen to us and see us.
Okay.
All right, so look, y'all, we are here. We're back for another episode. We won't be here long because BREE has to go pick up her son. But yeah, we are here another episode. Just trying to just be consistent and record these things, upload them, edit them, and give them to y'all.
Yes.
On today, I would like to talk about how have you seen your faith impact your journey throughout our marriage?
Yeah.
All right, so here's my reason why I'm asking is because I do think there are a lot of folks who are experiencing challenges, not just in marriage, but challenges in life.
Okay.
And, you know, as our faith has grown stronger, I do believe that your faith should impact the lens in which you view the world. And so how has your faith impacted or not impacted how you view challenging seasons and challenging moments, particularly since you've been married?
Great question. Is that better?
She turned towards the camera.
Okay.
So for those who are listening,
listening, I
the
looked
millions
at
of
the camera.
listeners out there, just so they can have context too.
So I think that for sure my faith in challenging times has really helped me to just not give up. In regards to like, I think my faith has given me the ability to withstand. So as opposed to being like, well, this is hard and I'm just going to be miserable through the entire thing. I think what my faith has done in our marriage across this, well, I should just say across these past 10 years of like, I don't have to have as much like stress and worry as I'm going through challenging times. Because I feel like in the beginning we went through a lot of hard things that I just was very much like, I feel like the rest of my life was going to be ruined because of like this instance. And I think leaning into my faith,
No, go ahead, because I got questions.
Okay.
This is your podcast, so
it's not.
This is your episode today.
How?
So.
Anyway, I think that leaning into my faith allowed me to have like this perspective of like tough times come. I think before we got married, and I think I've talked about this before, I don't feel like I really experienced like true life challenges in the same sense of like where I feel like it just impacted my finances, my well-being. Like what? I mean, yeah, if that's your experience. Oh my goodness.
I don't believe that to be true.
That I didn't have challenges in my.
Yeah.
Not that I felt like that carried any like lifelong weight. I really didn't.
Okay. So I do believe in retrospect, if you look at moments and periods of your life pre-marriage, that you can look at things that have happened to you,
okay,
and your responses, and you can identify now in your more mature, seasoned age that
I guess
probably how you responded to that was even your lack of feeling or emotion or numbness to a situation that you probably should not have been as numb could have been a response because of certain experiences and where you were at that time. Like that, it was not like, oh, this didn't faze me because I'm solid in my spirituality and I know God got me and I can waver the storm. It's like, no, this didn't faze me because I just try not to be fazed by things, and it can be a trauma response.
Yeah, I guess. Well,
like there are people out there who are like, man, like nothing gets on my nerves, nothing bothers me.
that's definitely not me.
I'm fine with everything, but like as long as this box is checked, then I'm good. And for you, is like financial security is a big thing.
But okay.
So like
I guess that's where I fell in the scope of things of like before marriage. As long as my finances were good, then I thought I was good. I guess that's a better way to say it.
But okay.
So, let me finish. So with that being said, I think that one, being married revealed a lot of those different areas that I think I was lacking in or numb to, not realizing there was healing that needed to take place, building up that needed to take place. What? Yeah. So yeah, I mean.
So that's why I can be like, oh, before man, it's like, no, I don't agree. I don't think that you had a healthy view of those things, and I don't think neither did I, because, I mean, you also were fine with like, if I got my money but I don't have no friends, I'm also perfectly fine with that.
Very true.
And so I'm like, well, you now are in a season where you're building deeper relationships with people, where you are seeking out relationships and nurturing relationships and cultivating relationships and trying to do life with. But it's like, yeah, I'm good. I'm fine being by myself.
Yes, I would say that it's revealed areas that I didn't even realize I was lacking in.
100%.
Yes.
For both of us. But also like to even continue that train of thought, where did you think you were spiritually prior to getting married? Because I think that's enough. Like, I think a lot of, it's not like, where do you think you were like spiritual wise as far as your spirituality?
Like, I thought I was good solid. And I will say that, like, with regards to just my foundation was there, but I think that, like, that never wavered. But to the point of, like, revealing areas that needed growth, like my walk and, like, my actual spiritual disciplines, prayer, being in my word, like all of those things, definitely, like, were highlighted that I was lacking in those areas. I think that I was very much a believer of, like, if things are going wrong, like I'm doing something wrong, or I've done something wrong, like, you know, or God's hand isn't in this because it shouldn't be this hard. Like, I was very much of that mindset.
Yeah.
For sure, for like the first 5 years solid of our marriage. I would say 3.
But I also think that's, like, that is something as I've grown to learn. It's like this in the, you know, the term theology of suffering. The idea that it rains on the just and the unjust.
Sure.
And that sometimes you're going to go through seasons of challenge, not because you're doing anything wrong, because you're exactly where you're supposed to be. And there are other times you will go through seasons of challenge because you are not listening and not following instructions that God gave you. And sometimes it's hard to decipher the two. But I think there are lots of people who are saying, I am doing this and we are experiencing this season because of you, because of my partner. And it's like, I think there were lessons that I think there were things that we experienced. Here's an example. I think that there are times that, like, and this may sound crazy, but I'm curious what your thoughts are. I think there are times where we had challenging. I think there are times when you do things and you put yourself in a situation and God says, hey, I'm going to use this situation. Although I did not mean for this to go this way, I'm going to use it for my glory to also reveal to you some areas in which I need you to relinquish control over to me. No. Down. 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 Yeah, so, you know, I do think that I just think there are seasons where like, you're going to experience challenges because you're human, and that's part of the human experience. And then there's times where you're going to experience challenges because you were foolish.
Yeah.
And you were not a good steward. And I think that we experience both.
For sure. And
I think that there are times when it's like, I think we experience both. And I think the more that we experience them, I think that we started to learn, like, oh God, this is what you're trying to reveal. Even after the, like, okay, this is the 5th time. What are you trying to, like, what are we supposed to learn from this? And it's not like, oh, I need to have a better strategy. It's like, oh no, like, I've been using X as a functional savior. Like, this is what I turn to when all hell is breaking loose. I don't turn to you, I turn to it. And there were some it's that I turned to, that you turned to, not just, you know what I mean?
That
like,
I trusted in, like,
yeah. Well, that's where you turn to.
Oh yeah, I guess.
It's like, if you got enough money in the bank, then you can get everything accomplished.
For sure. Like, that was my measure of success, not taking it into account my level of peace, my level of joy, like, just being pleasant. Like, I just think that I was so focused on, like, life was finances, and that was the equivalent of success. So yeah, and I think for me, it took Jay's surgery as it was a big shakeup for me, where it had nothing to do with, like, the amount of money we had in the bank or anything like that. And so
for those who may not know, our son did have a surgery, major surgery. He had a benign tumor on his cheekbone, had to get it removed, metal plate installed. He's all good to go now.
yes.
We're like a year post surgery. It was great. He's good, playing baseball, basketball, all that stuff. So that's what she's referring to.
Yeah. So I think it took God speaking to me in that moment of, like, this confident voice that was like me praying out of desperation to heal him, and like receiving that like he's already healed confirmation. I think that was the first time I've ever consciously felt like I heard from God, very like auditory, and like that it was just bigger than everything else I thought of in life.
Ooh, I got a question.
What?
Question. So during our toughest times, financially, money wise, when I was making stupid financial decisions, not asking you and just going out spending money, doing things, trying to be a man, and I don't know, not waiting on God and doing things that did not show that I was waiting on God. Like, God, you moving too slow. I need to take things in my own hand. I need to like figure it out. I'm a figure it out type of guy.
Yeah.
What were your prayers like during that time?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Because I can imagine there's people who are in marriages and like their spouse is getting on their last nerve. So what were your prayers like during that? Because now we're in a space where like, I feel like we're in a much better space. It's less money to manage because we're, you know, both one of us was laid off, the next person was laid off. But I also feel like I'm taking a more like prominent role in the management of our finances. I feel like I'm doing a decent job with that. I feel like I've been like trying to be very diligent and like learning the best ways and practices and strategies to do all of that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh man, I feel like we're in a different season. What were your prayers like when you were in that season?
So that's the crazy thing. Like, I don't think my prayers were to begin with productive.
Okay. So what were your prayers like?
They were like, Lord, save me. And fix Juan. And they were never along the lines of like, what can I do? Change me, help me to get through this season, help us to get through this season. You know, like it was very much a desperate, like, Lord, you could take them and just save me, and we'll be good. And so I definitely, I think, and then I mean, I had like resentment too, because like we've talked about before, you questioned my faith when things were going wrong. So that was discouraging, not really realizing like, I'm trying to pray and trust God, but I'm also very angry because I feel like I worked really hard, to keep myself in a position, at a young, early 20s age to have the amount of savings that I have the credit score that I had. And so I do think one, I had a lot of pride in that. So that was a lot of what? Pride.
Oh, okay.
In that. So that was humbling, but it was a challenging, like, prayer time. I don't think a lot of prayer was happening. I don't think there was not a lot of prayer happening.
When did your prayer shift?
When I got pregnant.
Really?
Yeah. Why you say it like that?
Because I'm surprised that your prayer shifted that early. I thought that they shifted much later.
Well, they shifted.
Well, I'll put it this way. When did they shift to it being more about me and less about making sure you and Jalen are okay?
When I started going to therapy.
Okay. Because I mean, yeah, I can feel like, yeah, like you get pregnant and then you're like, oh yeah, God, just make sure that we're going to be okay, that we're going to be good. And I feel like I was asking more so about when did it shift from like
to our relationship.
Yes.
Being,
about like you really interceded on my behalf.
Yeah.
Not so that way you will be okay, but like, and it was less about me and more so about like, God changed me. God, what can I do? How can I show up differently? How can I?
What do you mean? That's what my prayer shifted to? Is what you're?
I'm asking you, did your prayers ever shift to that? And if so,
yeah,
like,
for sure. Because
when?
I think when I started going to therapy, I suffered from postpartum depression after having Jay, and I was very fearful of death and dying, both ways, like him or me. And I think that I went through therapy first to get through that, and then I I started therapy again, focusing on like just stuff that happened when I was younger, just like through high school, things like that, and processing through that. And so I think it caused me to start doing just self-reflection and healing myself, and like letting go of anger that I had for myself, for mistakes that I've made. And I think in dang it I do not feel like crying because I put on mascara. I think in processing through forgiving myself, it made it easier to have more grace, receive grace from God, and then give that same grace. And so I think in going through therapy, already having my faith as a foundation, I think I was able to now start recognizing like, oh, you're holding yourself to such a standard that you were never even meant to live up to, and that I was holding you to that same standard. So,
yeah, that's dope. So, did you see any changes, or how long did it take for you to feel like God answered your prayers, or you saw God answering your prayers?
For what, like finances specifically?
No, just when you started praying and you started changing, like the way you said your prayers started changing when you went to therapy. When did you start seeing, like, did you feel like you were praying and God like didn't answer your prayer until 6 years later? Like, what is this like?
I feel like the prayers, like the specific of like, if I'm talking like, Lord, help us get through this financial season or whatever, I think that took a while still.
So you were having that specific prayer, or were you like, what were your prayers?
I was praying for your wisdom, for God to give you wisdom, to give me wisdom, to like help navigate, for me to not be a hindrance to the process, like all of these things.
So your prayers were still like, Lord, rescue us.
I don't know if that was considered like rescue us. I think it was more of like, I don't know, like help us be good stewards. And I don't know if that's the same as rescue us. Maybe it was. I don't know. But
it seemed like the prayers were very like solution oriented, like help me to have the wisdom to do something.
Yeah, it was still like,
it was not like,
give me a peace to get through.
Give me peace, no matter what the situation looks like.
I definitely think that like I did not come into the mindset of my prayers being suffering aware until maybe the past 2 years. I still feel like my prayers were,
which were probably some of the best years of our marriage so far.
The past 2 years.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Because I think that like there was still that underlying factor, to your point, of like, save us. And like, if this situation isn't changing, you're not hearing me, you're not answering me. And so that's still just my prayer. And so like give me wisdom, give me wisdom, like reading the word to like be like, where is the answer? Like, and so I don't think it was really until these past like 2 years. And like I said, kind of Jay's surgery, I think, was the catalyst to that. And like changing my perspective of like how I study the Bible, and like, it's not an instruction manual. It is a love letter in essence, and really seeing like, oh, I'm reading this scripture to learn more about God, not for him to like give me specific instruction. And then really understanding like the suffering aspect of that. And I think it's been in those 2 years, I'll call it 3, that my prayers have changed to say like, Lord, I just want your peace. And I'm not so focused on like the situation that we're going through. But I will say this to say, and this is the last thing I will say, I'm gonna shut up. I will say that, right, like he did start answering. I feel like you did start stewarding things better, stewarding things well. And I feel like it was then I was finally able to maybe release a little bit, because I saw some changes happening, to be able to then focus on like actually understanding it's not situation. Like, it doesn't matter what situation I'm in. Like,
But it's interesting because there have been moments and periods in our marriage where we had some money, we was up. So it was like, yeah, and also that does not take away or make anybody feel more at ease during that period. Like,
well, yeah, but because true, because I still, right, I was not focused on like God's love for me, his peace, like resting in that, because I still was like, yeah, we're good, but Lord, has he changed?
Oh yeah. But so I think ultimately, like, I mean, very similar to me, and as I've been just and then we'll do this, I know you got to pick up your son.
Yes, I do.
You know, oftentimes I feel like having a healthy view of the gospel and a deeper, as I've grown spiritually, you learn that some people say, I want to follow God for the things that are added to me, for the things that I can get, right? And not just the things I can get, but like, because I want different experiences, right? And there's an expectation that if I follow him and I do what I'm supposed to, quote unquote, do what I'm supposed to do, if I check off all the boxes, if I manage well, if I steward well, I should have a certain level, certain type of experience, right? So I look at God as like, God, like, I'm judging whether or not you are who you say you are based on what I'm currently experiencing.
Yeah.
So as opposed to me, and it's like, oh, no, God, I love you and I worship you for who you are.
Right. Not what you can do.
Not what you can do, not what I get, right? And it's like, and I feel like that is where you get, and I've said this, you know, before in other places and other platforms, but like peace that surpasses all understanding is like, no, I want that.
Yeah.
Because how can I be in the middle of, like, I want to be able to be on the mountaintop and in the valley with peace.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, if I know that I can get through with my partner, my spouse, the person who I decided to marry, God, with your peace, then yeah, I can sustain 10 years of marriage of highs and lows and ebbs and flows, right? I mean, you ain't beating on me. Like, there's just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't cross that line.
Right.
Like, yeah, are you going to make some mistakes? Yes. Are you going to get an attitude? Yes. Am I going to mismanage something? Yes. Am I going to say that I'm going to take the trash out and I don't take this? Yes. Am I going to leave clothes all over the place? Yes. Are we going to have periods where we don't have sex? Yes. Are we going to have periods where we... Yes. It's all going to happen.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, God, I need your peace.
For sure.
And when I look at the grace that you give me, because when I look at the grace that you give me, no spot, no, down, no. When I look at the grace that you give me,
you being God,
it's like, well, how dare I not give her grace?
Yeah, that for sure. I've definitely started looking
like, man, the mercy you give me, the grace you give me. Oh yeah, yeah, I don't deserve it.
Yeah.
But you give it to me anyway. You give it to me freely. And it's like, it just changes a lot, man. It changed a lot for me. So, you know, I'm just, you know, I'm excited. We're in year 10. I think that as we have grown spiritually, I think our relationship has become better.
I agree. 100%.
I think that we're able to show up differently in our marriage. And I think there are a lot of people who may have, their thoughts are, I grew up in church, I know the Bible, I've gone to church. And just because you do all that does not mean that you have a healthy view of how God sees you.
Completely.
Right? And have the idea to wrap your mind around that God loves you and he sees you and he approves of you. That you don't earn his love and you don't earn his approval. It's such a hard concept to grasp.
Yeah.
That there's no, like, you don't have to measure up to, like, there's no measuring stick. Like, you're not a super Christian. It's like, no, he sees you as son. And like, that's so hard. And when you can rest in the fact that, like, I'm approved and loved by God and when I shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Then it's like, you know what? I gotta lay off my spouse a little bit. Like, let me shoot my spouse some bail.
Wait, what?
Some bail. Shoot my spouse some bail. Is like,
bail. I didn't understand the word you said.
I got to shoot my spouse some bail because I mean, yeah, she's crazy, but shoot, so am I.
You. Yeah.
So am I. She's crazy. She's nuts.
Not
but
that.
Hey,
bad.
camera on me. Y'all see me? Big dog. She's crazy, but so are you. Excuse me, young lady. I know he's crazy, but guess what? You crazy too.
Yeah. Okay, I have to go.
She got to go. All right, y'all. Listen, marriage is a lot of things. It's hard. It's dope. It's difficult. It's challenging. It's fulfilling. It's rewarding. But most importantly, marriage is
for adults.